Hey fools, Matt Copenheffer here with our Ask a Fool series. We have a question today from our Facebook page. Autumn Bloom writes, what is actually going on with Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac? It's a good question, Autumn. Thanks for asking. So let's take this from the very top. As the housing market continues to recover, Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac are starting to come back to life, and they are now profitable again. So what ended up happening during the financial crisis is that the mortgages that they basically backed, that they guaranteed, they were going bad in vast numbers. And so Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac had to set aside a whole lot of money to make up for those mortgages going bad. And that made them drastically unprofitable. They lost a whole lot of money, and the government put both companies into conservatorship, where they still are today. So now they're profitable. Now they're earning money. They're paying back a lot of money to the government, making up for that bailout money that they received. Now what's starting to happen is that investors are seeing the profits that Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac are making, seeing the progress that they're making in paying back the bailout to the government. And we've seen a lot of investors start to buy both the common and the preferred shares of both Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac. And the assumption here is that at some point the government will get its bailout money back, get a profit, and decide to put Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac back in private shareholder hands. And if that happens, the holders of common and preferred stock in Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac today will possibly get in cheap when those companies are back on the back on the stock market, again, back in private hands rather than the government's hands. Now, as that's all going on, the government is busy trying to figure out what it wants to do with both of these companies. There is a big push to actually wind down both companies over time, which would essentially mean that those folks buying the shares will be left with nothing over time. And that shouldn't be a big surprise to them. If you look at the SEC filings for Fannie Mae, for Freddie Mac, they say very much up front that they are in conservatorship with the government, and under that conservatorship, their number one, in fact, their only responsibility is to the government, not to the shareholders, not to the bondholders, it's to the government. And the government is in a position to determine the fate of both of these companies. So we've got a profitable Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac again. We've got investors that are essentially speculating on the idea that these profitable companies will be taken out of the government's hands and back into private shareholders' hands. And in the meantime, we have Congress and the rest of the government trying to figure out how and whether they're going to wind down these companies and take them out of existence. So for me, that's a lot of ifs, that's a lot of hurdles for a good investment thesis. So I've been staying away from the shares of both Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac, but there are obviously some bold speculators out there that have been going after them, and that is basically what is going on with both of these companies today. Again, this is Matt Copenheffer with the Ask a Fool series, and you can always read more on Fool.com.